to week 7, module 3. Congratulations, you've done lots of work by this far and you are halfway through, so well done. This week you're still in module 3, so it's still about play learning, play-based learning and technologies in the early years. And you're moving this week into thinking about it and conceptualising it more in terms of the early years learning framework, the Queensland Kindergarten Learning Guideline and the Australian curriculum. This way it's really broadening your understanding of play, and as you developed last week, play isn't limited just to the early years and just to children in a space. People tend to play their whole lives. It just changes and the definition of play is hard to define because it does change over a person's lifetime. So by thinking about it in terms of the early years learning framework and subsequently the Queensland Kindergarten Learning Guideline, it's all about play-based learning as a vehicle to learn. So it's about providing age-appropriate and play-based pedagogies in an environment that fosters young children's minds, imagination, sense of agency, responsibility, and learning, and thinking about it in terms of what does this mean for me in my technologies classroom. So by the end of this module, it's really important that you know a really broad understanding, that you have a really broad understanding of what play-based learning, play-based teaching and learning, and now moving into what playful learning is, and playful teaching and learning, because this is where you can really bring it into the Australian curriculum and see that alignment. And as we talked about last week, it's kind of that way of bringing real-world experiences into the classroom is by thinking about it in terms of imagining and play-based learning to make those real-life links. This week you're going to also extend on your concept map that you started last week, which will really help you as a scaffold for assessment task 2. So it's all about spontaneous experiences and intentional experiences, having clear educational goals, and this is important so you're in alignment with your key documents of the Early Years Learning Framework and the Australian curriculum. It's all about having these clear goals so you justify and they guide what you're doing. And as you also discussed last week, in play-based learning everyone has a role. So the children have a role, but the teacher have a role too. And it's kind of thinking about how you are going to actively engage and support children in your classrooms in their in this technologies play-based curriculum. So take a moment now or before you start on materials and review your concept map, because you're going to build upon it this week. So it's thinking about the early years learning framework. So play provides a context for learning through which children organise, make sense of their social worlds, actively engage with people and objects and represent things. It allows for personal expression. It enhances dispositions such as curiosity, creativity. It creates a space where children can make those connections between old and new. It's about thinking about developing relationships and concepts, that strong sense of well-being. It's a place where children can explore things, real and imagined, the scary, the fun. There's the value of play is really strong, and by explaining and knowing play-based and playful learning experiences, you'll be able to take that with you through all ages that you might end up teaching and learning with. So think about in terms of the different types of thinking that children are engaged in, the design thinking, the system thinking, the computational thinking, and how you're going to bring these to life through play-based or playful learning experiences. So to do that this week, there's an example in the learning guide from the Early Years Learning Framework Educator's Guide, and there's a play-based experiences there. There's a little scenario, and I want you to think about it in terms of what types of thinking is going on there, what types of opportunities were there for you as an educator, how could you have extended the children's thinking and reasoning through that experience there as well. Now, the Queensland Kindergarten Learning Guideline was developed in association with the Early Years Learning Framework, it builds on that, and it's for Queensland kindy teachers and a curriculum for Queensland kindy teachers. Now, what you're going to see in there is that play is really important in terms of it allows children to learn how to communicate, to cooperate. So all those social skills, it's about perseverance, it's about thinking and wondering, it's about independent learning, imagining and creating again is there, exploring, investigating, and to enjoy learning. And as we said last week, if the children aren't enjoying it, they may not engage as readily. So within your technologies classroom, you're going to have to think about it in terms of the physical environment that you set up. So is that going to be a productive play-based environment? So it's providing resources that they can value add, so they can actually go, this is good, however, how about if we do this, this means we can draw on this, and things as opposed to ready-made resources. You can provide the tools or the just enough materials for them to build upon. The Australian curriculum and play, you might think, well, where is there play in school? But playful learning can be and is included in there. And this is where your understanding of play will really come through, because if you understand play in terms of all different ages, well then that way you can see the alignment with the Australian curriculum and ways where you can bring it into your to your school age classrooms. So yeah, it's going to be balanced with more explicit teaching and more direct teaching and learning experiences, but there are opportunities for you within the Australian curriculum and how you design your classrooms is in bringing those playful and play-based learning experiences in there in your technologies room. So there's some characteristics of age-appropriate pedagogies as part of your learning guide, and really have a think about what playful learning is. It's about children making those connections between the imagination, exploring alternate worlds, engaging in different types of thinking. So this is really this innovative, new possibilities types of thinking and reasoning with the children, which is all about what technologies education is all about. There's lots of examples as well with it in practice, and there's quite a long, there is a video in there of a teacher talking about her, sharing her experiences of what she did with play and prep and the Australian curriculum. So please take note of that. And I also want you to think about what type of teacher of technologies do you aspire to be, and what are you going to be led by? What sort of play-based learning and playful learning experiences are you going to bring in? So part of the readings this week are all about you watching that webinar about how one teacher actually used play-based pedagogy in the Australian curriculum, thinking about what more of this why play-based learning, and you're actually also going to have an opportunity to engage with the QKLG in a really purposeful way. So as I said, your individual task this week is building on that what you did last week with your concept map of play. If you can add any additional, but also think about it in terms of a reflection statement. So I've given you a starter. So the concept of play in the technologies learning area involves. So this is for you to write at least one paragraph of a reflective statement on that. So thank you again for all your participation and taking on the feedback, and I hope you have a good week. Thanks. Bye.